What's up, everybody? My name is Scott Paddock, and today we are going to talk about upward and downward scoops. Scoops are a very powerful tool in the embellishment toolbox. They can be very useful in providing texture, direction, and lots of emotion in a note or a phrase. Unfortunately, scoops are also one of the most overused embellishments by intermediate players. So please take the techniques I'm going to show you today and use them sparingly and in the appropriate place in your music. All right, so let's dive in. The first thing we're going to talk about is the basic scoop from below. Like most articulations, the scoop is created with your tongue. There are actually three parts of your tongue movement. And the whole movement together is doit. Again, it's another weird sound that I'm going to have you make. Just like when we were doing vibrato, it was doi, oi, 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 oi. It's all done with your tongue. So when we're talking about our scoop, the first part is the attack or the tongue, and that is the D and the doi. So as opposed to a regular note, we'll just play it in tune. With the scoop, we're going to hit that note slightly flat. So to do that, you're just going to lower your tongue a little bit when you play the note. As opposed to... So we want to be a little flat to start it off. Then that is the D and our doit. So for the next part, we're going to do the oi. The oi is when you bring your tongue down really low in your mouth, as low as you can bring it and still keep the note sounding. So we're going to hit the D, that's going to be the tongue, a little bit out of tune, and then bring it low. So you want to bring it down as low as you can right before you're going to lose that note. And then the part that makes it sound like a scoop is the oit. The oit. The part that goes out. If you say the word oit, you can feel your tongue rise up in your mouth. So we put it together. We have the D, that is the tongue, the oi, which brings it down, and the oit, which brings it back up. All right, so here's the whole thing together in slow motion. So those are your three basic parts. You tongue the note slightly out of tune, that's the D and the doit, and then you drop your tongue, that's the oi, and then you raise your tongue, oit, into the goal note. So there are two basic applications for an upward scoop. The first is starting right on the note, and the second is in between two notes. So the main difference is when you're scooping in between two notes, you don't play the D and the doit. You just have the oit because you already have that bass note that you're coming from below. So in this case, I'm going to play between an F sharp and an A, and the bass, the D, is going to be the D, and the doit is going to be the F sharp that I play, and then I'm going to go oit into the A. Now, there are three little tricks that you can use that'll make your scoop sound way better. The first is bring your tongue up slower than you think. Really get into that scoop. Bring it down and like really milk it. Like if you're going to do a scoop, do it for real. Even if it's faster, do a scoop for real. We don't want like a half scoop where it just sounds like you missed the note. So bring that tongue up slower than you think you should, and that's going to really get that scoop to come out and make it way more powerful. The second thing is use dynamics. When you're down at the bottom of your scoop, you should be softer, and as you're scooping up, you should be getting louder. You should be increasing that volume. So you hear that dynamic. I hit it pretty hard, I bring it down, and then I bring it back up with the note. If I don't do those dynamics, this is what it sounds like. It's actually kind of hard to do. You want to make sure you bring that dynamic level down and back up, and it's going to make your scoop way, way, way more powerful. And then the third trick is when you land on your goal note, go right into vibrato. In jazz, when you have a longer note, when you land on that note, you usually hold it for a little bit and then do vibrato. Like that. But when you're scooping into the note, you need to hit the vibrato right away. So it'll sound like this. If you don't, it just sounds a little weird if you play the note flat after the scoop and then do vibrato. This is what it would sound like when it sounds weird. It just kind of sounds a little strange. If you scoop into that note and then do the vibrato right away, it's going to sound way better. And if you think about a scoop, it really is kind of like the bottom part of the vibrato. When we talk about vibrato, I did this in another video, we say the word doy-oy-oy-oy-oy. So when we're doing a scoop, it's doit. It's just a more pronounced vibrato that has a gold note at the end of it. Okay, so that's your scoop up. Now let's talk about the scoop down. So we're basically just doing the opposite tongue movement. So when we're scooping up, we're going doit. When we're scooping down, we say dia, dia. I know, I have a bunch of crazy weird words that work with articulation, but I like to use words that make my tongue make that movement that I want in my saxophone when I'm playing it. So that's why I do it. So if you say the word dia, that's the exact movement you want. You want your tongue to start up here on the first note and then drop down, so you're kind of going flat, scooping your way down into the next gold note. Now, a big difference between a upward scoop and a downward scoop is an upward scoop, you can start right on the scoop before a note. With a downward scoop, you're almost always going to scoop in between two notes. So you're going to have your first note, and then you're going to go the D into the second note. So again, the D is the tongue, and the E is dropping it into the next note. Now, in this case, I'm going between a B and an A, which are right next to each other. But you can go all the way down as far as you want. I'm going to go down to F sharp this time. You just want to get that scoop down as low as you can, especially if you're going more than a step or two. So for your scoops, you have two basic kinds. You have upwards and downwards, but there are tons of variations depending on how deep you scoop and how fast you scoop. So here are just a couple ideas of different variations on a scoop. Here, I'm going to do this on a B. There's just a ton of different things you can do. You can do a scoop with vibrato. There are just tons and tons of textures that you can create. Now, obviously, you want to do them all in the right place, and that all has to do with the application of where you're doing the scoop. But there are so many different things that you can do with it. Again, with the downward one, it all has to do with how much control you have over your tongue and what kind of sound you're going for. So when I opened up, I did Blue Monk, and that was like kind of bluesy. So I'll like really milk that scoop on going up and down. If I wanted to make it sound less bluesy, I would still do scoops. I just wouldn't be so dramatic with them. So that's pretty much it. Your scoops are all about your tongue movement and how quickly you go up or down using the word doit or dia. Either one of those are going to give you the scoops that you are looking for. Keep that air going steady, and make sure when you hit the pitch, you start on vibrato, and make sure that when you hit that pitch that you're in tune and you start with vibrato. If you'd like to dig deeper into scoops or any other aspect of playing the saxophone, I do give Skype lessons, and my contact information is in the description below. Thanks for taking the time to check out this video. I hope that you found it useful and that you're now able to do upward and downward scoops. And if you are, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and share it with your friends. If you have any questions, hit me with a comment below. Thanks a lot.